Tonight we're going to be talking about how to be a better life partner. So again, I just want to thank you for being here. You know, Think, Dream, Do is a space for growth, for love, and for reflection. So today, let's talk about something deeply human, how to be a better life partner. Because relationships aren't just about staying together. I want you to know that. They're about growing together. And the first step to becoming a better partner is deciding to. So take a breath and let's begin this journey together. Let's start with a man I once knew. His name was Evan. Evan, from what I remember, he is the one who decided to stay and work it out. He worked out his marital problems because he was always a man of his word. You know, he was always a man of his word. To the outside world, Evan had built an amazing career. He had 2 wonderful children, house in the suburbs. He was what I guess some would consider an American dream. You know, his wife stood by him for over a decade. But, you know, inside the walls of his house, something was breaking. Quietly at first, then louder, and like thunder rumbling before a storm. Evan was drifting. Evan didn't mean to grow distant. Life had just kind of piled on. Work was stressful. The kids demanded his time. His energy always seemed to run out before it was her turn. Late night conversations turned to quiet nods. Intimacy became a routine. And even worse, silence happened. And before he knew it, he and his wife were living like respectable roommates instead of being passionate partners. And that right there, it's a serious problem. It truly is. So I'm looking to see if we have anybody new joining. Fantastic. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and continue forward. So, you know, one night Evan came home late from work and found his wife just sitting there at the table, not angry, just done. She looked at him and said something he'll never forget. I don't want to fight anymore, but I also don't want to feel this lonely while being married. That line right there hit him like a freight train. Evan hadn't cheated. He'd never been cruel, but somehow he'd abandoned her, not physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. He was there, but he wasn't present. Now, let's talk about the turning point. I see a couple more people have joined us. Fantastic. Hello to you. Peace and love, everybody. So let's continue the story. That night, Evan didn't sleep. He sat on his couch, staring at the ceiling, asking himself questions he'd avoided for years. When did I stop trying? When did I just become a bystander in my own relationship? And if I really love her, why haven't I shown her lately? That moment of raw honesty right there, without defensiveness, without blame, was the beginning of everything. So, he started off with the work. He didn't fix his marriage in a week. This wasn't a movie montage. This was real life. And real life, as we know it, is messy. You know, we all try our best to keep everything cool in our life, to keep everything flowing smoothly, but you have to realize sometimes you really don't have utter control over that. But what you do have is tools. And many people don't understand all of the tools that you have available. And that's where I come in. Here at Think, Dream, Do, I have the tools. I have the mindset. I am here to help you wherever you have a problem in your life. A friend of mine the other day, he said, "You know what you are, James?" He says, "You're the how-to guy." I smiled and I said, "Man, that's the best compliment ever." So, hey, you got a few more people join us. Let's get back to the story here. So, Evan himself, he started going to therapy alone at first. He kind of needed to figure out what was beneath the surface. He needed to figure out why he shut himself down in their marriage. Why did he struggle to express himself? Why was he so vulnerable? Why was he so hard? And you know what? The therapy showed him. It wasn't about his marriage. It was about him the whole time. The boy who was taught to man up, who was told not to cry. The man who learned to perform strength but never practiced softness. He became the husband who was confused about providing connection. In fact, Evan began to unlearn, and in that process, he began to show up. So you see how this story is beginning to turn around. Thank you so much for joining us. Nice to see a few more people have joined us here today. So here's what we're going to get into next. This is the turning point with Evan. Okay, so it's such a beautiful thing. So here we go. I'm just taking a look and making sure that we have everybody covered. I want to make sure if there are any questions out there that I answer the questions. So here we go. Evan started like this. He started leaving little sticky notes. Not because he had to, because he wanted to. He left his wife little sticky notes on the bathroom mirror with 3 words: "I love you. I can't wait to see you tonight. I appreciate you. I adore you." Then he started taking over dinner duty twice a week. It wasn't perfect, but intentionally, he was trying to do a good thing. And Evan sat with her, without the TV, without the phone, and just listened to her day. Then he apologized, not for what he had done, but for what he had not done, for not being there when she needed a teammate, not being a good enough provider. And slowly, that wall right there between them began to crumble. And here's the breakthrough. Months later, they took a weekend getaway together. Always fun. Just the 2 of them. Not a big vacation. Just a cabin, a fire, and some honest words spoke between the both of them. And that's when she said, "You know, you didn't just say you were going to change, Evan. You became somebody new. And I fell in love with that man." Evan didn't just save his marriage with these grand gestures. He saved it by showing up. Daily, humbly, fully. I just love this story about Evan. It's fantastic. And here's the message behind it. If you've ever felt what Evan felt, that silent disconnection, the quiet distance in your relationship, don't wait. Please don't wait for that breaking point. Start now. Don't just ask, "How do I fix this? How do I fix them?" Ask, "How do I grow myself?" Because love doesn't die from a single blow. It dies from slow neglect. I know it seems sad, but this is true. I'm just going to go ahead and take a drink here, and see if we have any new people that have joined us. Thank you so much for everybody that have joined us so far. Now, here's the good news. It can also be revived by small, consistent acts of care. Just like Evan, you out there, you have the power to become the kind of partner your relationship deserves. So, here's what you need to do. You need to start by showing up. Start by listening. Start by looking inward. And I really emphasize inward. You get yourself right, you will get that relationship right, and you will become a better life partner. Because becoming a better life partner starts with you. Now, let's look inward. But before we talk about your partner, let's talk about you. Being the best life partner will begin with you, again, being a whole person. So, here's what you need to ask yourself. Am I showing up emotionally available? Am I communicating with love or defensiveness? Am I carrying unhealed pain into this connection? Self-awareness is not selfish. It's a foundation of a partnership. I'm going to go ahead and loosen up a little tied up here. This is interesting. When you know your triggers, your wounds, your blind spots, you protect your partner from them essentially in return, instead of projecting them. We live in a world that loves to point fingers, don't we? She doesn't listen. Oh, he doesn't know what I mean. She's always complaining. Oh, no, he's the one. He's the one that always, she's the one. These sound familiar? They don't understand me. But here's the truth. Lasting change begins within. Looking inward doesn't mean that you're blaming yourself either, so don't confuse this. It means yet you're taking radical ownership of how you show up, how you react, how you listen, how you love. Here's another thing to ask yourself. Am I binging old wounds into new conversations? Am I present or am I distracted? Am I giving love the way I want to receive it or the way they do? When we begin to reflect, we begin to soften. And in return, we also begin to shift. So, just want to take a second here and see if there's anybody. Okay, I apologize. I just want to make sure that everybody that is joining us, thank you, and hello to you out there. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Today we're talking about how to be a better life partner. There are a lot of different little tips out there, things I've learned, things I've heard, things I've read, and I believe I'm very well prepared to help you become a better life partner. I know to some people it might seem like an embarrassing topic. You say, oh, I think I'm doing great. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But regardless, if you're out there and you're struggling a little bit, it doesn't hurt to have some reaffirmations out there. So we'll go ahead and start up here again. I'm so grateful that you joined me. So next, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So, next, let's talk about healing your triggers. This is a very important one. I'm talking about like every argument you've ever had. I'm talking about those moments. I'm talking about a deeper pattern, possibly an unhealed place in your heart. Maybe you have a fear of abandonment or not feeling heard. That right there is an important one. Not feeling heard. I know a lot of us, we say we don't feel like we're being heard, or we think about it. Maybe it's a past relationship that left a scar. And that's terrible. You know, it's often known as baggage. We bring baggage into a relationship because we're left with a scar somehow. So whatever it is, or maybe awareness, and I want to emphasize awareness, it is the key. Because once you know what triggers you, you don't have to react. You can respond. And this is what I mean. You create space between the moment and your reaction. And in that space, your relationship will transform. It's no longer you versus your partner. It's about the both of you versus the problem. That's a heck of a shift, isn't it? And that comes from doing the inner work. It comes from asking, what's really going on with me right now? Why does this moment hurt so badly or deeply? What do I need to do to heal so I can love more freely? These are the questions. These are the questions that you should be asking yourself. So the two of you can join together and beat whatever may be planting any seeds of doubt in your relationship. So I'm just going to take a second here and make sure. Thank you for joining today. I love it. Listen, if there's any questions that you have, I'm here right now. I'm live. Ask away. Ask away. So let's continue forward. Let's talk about practicing. Yes. I rehearsed a lot of this. Practicing emotional responsibility. Very important one. Now, what this isn't about bottling your feelings. It is about owning them. Like, here, I'll give you some examples. I feel hurt when I'm afraid because, see the openness here. I need some time to process when you name your emotions with honesty, you magically take the weight off your partner's shoulders. You stop expecting them to fix you. And instead, you invite them into your experience. That right there, that is emotional maturity. It doesn't push love away. In fact, it pulls love closer because love thrives in safe spaces. And you can help create that safety. That's right. You and you alone can create that safety. Here you go. Here's a challenge for you. Instead of waiting for your partner to change, why don't you become the partner you wish you had? If you want more kindness, be kind. If you want more connection, then connect. If you want more peace, bring peace into the room. You know, relationships, they're mirrors. And when you shift your energy, you shift the rhythm of the relationship. So, start within. And guess what? The rest will follow. This This is a good reminder. Be the kind of partner you want to have, okay? I know I emphasize that. So now, let's move on and start talking about communicating with presence. Again, another fundamental thing in becoming a better life partner. So, and what I mean by this, it's not just talking, communicating, not just hearing, but listening. When they speak, do you pause? Or do you say, yeah, I know, yep. Oh, yeah, it's okay. You just do it this way. No. You need to listen, okay? You need to listen. Because what you need to start hearing is what they really mean underneath their words. The best partners aren't with perfect words. They're just present. They listen with their heart. Try this tonight or tomorrow. When your partner speaks, put down the phone. If you're on the phone, make eye contact, like direct eye contact, and just listen. I'll tell you right now, you'd be surprised how much healing happens in silence when someone feels heard. You know, love. It isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of a thing. Some people need words. Some people need a loving touch. Others, they just need some presence. Small acts, maybe a few kind gestures. So, here's where it gets good. Do you know your partner's love language? Do you know your own? That's right, the love language. I love that one. That's a great metaphor. So, the best partners learn from each other's love language, and they speak it fluently. They give love in a way their partner feels it the most. Love isn't just about giving, it's about giving what truly matters. So, practice patience. This is the truth we forget. People grow at different speeds. Your partner won't always get it right, neither will you. But the best life partners extend grace. They don't expect perfection. What they do expect is a little effort. Patience, it isn't weakness. It's strength that trusts love more than frustration. Thank you so much. Sorry, I didn't mean that. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. I just wanted to say hello out there. And if you have any questions for me, let me know. And I'm just going to take a quick drink here. I've got some things. Yeah, I've got some things I can't wait to tell you about. This is a wonderful topic. It's a wonderful topic because we all do have somebody in our life that's important. And it's very important of how we treat our partners because it'll all reflect back to us. And it's such a good thing. So thank you so much for joining. So remember this, you're not building the moment. What you are building is a life together. So moving on, let's talk about, this is very, very, very important. Let's talk about protecting that connection that you do have. I have this beautiful story about a couple that touches on this subject. You know, they met in the most ordinary way through mutual friends at a backyard barbecue. His name was Ryan, and her name was Layla. Now, I promise you, with this story, there's no sparkly backdrops, no dramatic twist, just two people who made eye contact through the smoke of a grill and smiled. You know, What made them click? It wasn't just chemistry. It was curiosity. They asked questions. They listened. They leaned in. You remember that? Leaning in, asking questions, eye contact, all these things. You know what? And that's how their relationship began. Not with fireworks, not with craziness, but with focus. You know, at first, everything felt a little electric, like a lot of relationships when they first started. Coffee dates turned into long walks. The long walks turned into weekend getaways. Every conversation felt like a discovery. It's a beautiful thing. The fresh love. You know, every touch that they shared felt like safety. They made promises without saying them out loud. I'll always be there. I'll protect this. I'll never let us drift. It's a beautiful thing. But time does have a way of testing even the most sacred promises. It truly does. So now let's fast forward a few years in. And when the tides of life began to shift. So Ryan started a new job that came with late nights. We all know these late nights. You know, he gets stuck in traffic. The boss says, can you stay a little longer? So these late nights, constant travel, and stress that followed him home like a shadow. We all know this. We all know this. Now, Layla launched her own business, pouring herself into the passion, but often leaving her tank empty by the end of the day. So, unfortunately, their conversations began to shrink. And in return, their patience. They began to wear a little thinner. You know, they loved each other, but love on its own is never just enough. What keeps love alive is that connection. And that connection, it was fraying. They weren't fighting. Not really, but they were fading. They'd sit on opposite ends of the couch, scrolling their phones. You know, I see this all the time. It's just a sad thing. You know, they'd sleep back to back. With inches like that, it felt like oceans. So one night, Layla looked over at him and quietly said, do you ever feel like we're not like us anymore? Evan paused, took a deep breath, and in that moment, for the first time in a long time, he really looked at her. He'd realized this was serious. He saw the woman who he believed in his dreams. She wasn't there. She had slipped away. The woman who once danced with him in the kitchen just because their song came on. So Evan looked back at her and said, yeah, I do. But here comes the good news. They didn't give up. That night, instead of turning away, they leaned in again towards each other and said, we're going to do this. So they made a decision to protect their connection. I keep honing in on connection. They decided to fight for their emotional bond like it was their shared heartbeat. That's a powerful thing. You know, not just when it was easy, but especially when it was hard. They took the gloves off and they went in there and they said, we're not going to let this happen. We're going to fight it. So they put in the work. So they started to do what many other couples have done. And also, let me hone in on this. What a lot of couples forget to do. It's the little things. Here, they scheduled check-ins, like sacred rituals. Hey, how was your day? But how are we? Are we still seeing each other? The way we used to? These little check-ins, just a quick phone call. Hey, what's going on? Just thinking of you. So they started going on what I would call as like tech-free walks. No distractions, no phones, just simple footsteps and stories. And you know what they did? They brought back intentional affection. Not just out of routine, but out of recognition. And when that little bit of resentment tried to sneak in, they named it. They didn't let the silence grow weeds in the garden of their love. They protected their connection the way a gardener would protect a delicate flower. That's right. By pruning what no longer serves, watering it with words, and giving it a little bit of sunlight. And that sunlight being in the form of time. And here's the truth of it all. Here's what Ryan and Layla learned. Connection, it isn't something you have. It's something that you must tend to. It's built moment by moment, not milestone by milestone. I'd just like to pause for a brief moment here and thank everybody who has decided to join. I'm so grateful that you are here today with me. We're talking about something so important, so valuable, of how to become a better life partner. I love talking about this because this is what it's all about in life, is having a healthy relationship. So, again, let's talk about it's in these connections. They're in the little inside jokes, the deep breaths before an argument, the choice to stay in a room when walking out would be a lot easier. Here's what they did. They leaned in and said, we are going to make this a destination for us, and we're going to figure this out. So, if you want a love that lasts, you have to become the guardians of each other's hearts. And I mean that, the guardians of each other's hearts. So years later, Ryan stood beside Layla at the edge of a lake, their hands clasped, and guess what? Guess what they were doing? Celebrating 12 years together. It's a beautiful thing. A friend asked them, "What's your secret, guys?" Ryan smiled and said, "Hey, there isn't a secret. We just built a bridge between us, and we walk across it daily to meet each other." So, if you're listening and your relationship feels like it's drifting, remember this. It's never too late to turn towards each other. Protect your connection. Do some talking. Do some touching. Ask questions, and listen, because love doesn't die from the lack of feeling. It dies from the lack of effort. It does. And the greatest love stories out there, they're not written in grand gestures. They're truly not. Thank you so much for joining today. I like to welcome everybody as they join. So, the great love stories are written in the quiet, everyday choices to protect the space between hearts. So, choose that love and every day after. I know life gets loud careers, kids, stress. But the longest relationships are the ones that are insulated, protected from the noise. So, what you need to do is make time for each other. Always make time for each other. Not after everything else, but before. Okay? Let me just take a moment here and see. I'm just looking here to make sure that we have everybody. Okay. Okay. So I haven't really been asked too many questions. Okay. Hey, I'm ready. If you have questions, fire away. Really, I'm here. I mean, we're here live. By all means, catch me while I'm here. So let's talk about the little rituals that matter. Okay? Again, all very important aspects to becoming a better life partner. How about let's start off with a morning hug, a good night check-in, a no phone dinner, my favorite, a Sunday walk. Protect your time. Prioritize your bond, because if you don't guard it, life will crowd it out. Next, now this is quite a serious topic, one extremely vital to being a better life partner: apologizing. You know, if you must apologize to your partner, you got to do so like you mean it. We all mess up from time to time. That's human. You know, you're just being human. But the real power, it's how we repair it. I'm sorry. That isn't a weakness. It's courage. It says our relationship means more than my ego. So apologize with clarity, explain without defending. Apologize with clarity, explain without defending, and then do better. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing love over resentment again and again. Here's what makes a relationship thrive long term: two people choosing to grow. And you know what? I have two wonderful friends who have been married for 32 years, and they're still in love. But you know, what they built wasn't effortless. It was in fact earned. In the beginning, Billy was quiet, thoughtful, worked with his hands, fixed cars, built furniture, even painted my house. Maria, she was warm, personified, a teacher. She was a talker. She cried during commercials and believed in handwritten thank you notes. How about that? They met at a mutual friend's dinner party in their 20s. Billy said he fell for her the first time she laughed. Her laughter just filled the room. It was a beautiful thing. Maria said she fell for his silence. It's kind of weird, but hey, how it wasn't cold. It's just patient. Like he was this listening deep thinker that nobody else had ever had. So they dated slowly, got married young, moved into a small rented duplex from what I remember, with peeling wallpaper and dreams bigger than their refrigerator. They had no manual, no map, just each other. Now, not everything was perfect. They did have their storms too. Life came at them the way that life often does, unexpectedly. Billy lost his job in year 5. I think it was 4 years or 5 years. Depression crept in like a fog. He just stopped talking. Maria kept showing up, bringing coffee, sitting beside him, not trying to fix, but just trying to be. Then Maria's father passed away unexpectedly, and she unraveled for a while. Billy built a shelf in her reading nook and stocked it with her dad's old books. She said nothing, just made space. They learned that love isn't in grand gestures. It's in fact small, consistent kindness that says, I see you, I'm with you, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to stand with you and I'm going to fight with you. Your battle's my battle. You know, she and Billy, they did fight for sure. You know, about money. It's the typical thing to fight about. You know, about parenting, about whose turn it was to do the dishes. But they never weaponized silence. They never left the room to win. Very important. They stayed, sat through the tension, and talked it out, unraveled it, even when it was hard. We always fight for each other, Maria would say, not against each other. And so the kids grew up, time sped up, their friends divorced, family members passed, dreams shifted. Maria wanted to go back to school. Billy supported it, of course, even if it meant late nights and microwave dinners. Billy just did it. And Billy ended up starting a side business, restoring old motorcycles. And Maria, she didn't quite understand, but you know what? She cheered him on, even when the garage smelled like gasoline for weeks. Yeah. You see, they evolved, but they never outgrew each other. That was the secret. They didn't just love the other person they loved who they were becoming. You see, they kept choosing each other through changes. They kept talking, touching, laughing, apologizing. And forgiving. They dated each other even after decades of being together. I love this part of the story. I'm trying to remember it all the way. One evening after dinner, their granddaughter asked, "What's the secret? How do you stay in love this long?" Billy smiled. Maria leaned in and said, "It's not a secret, sweetheart. It's just practice. You don't stay in love. You work in love." Think about it. And so she continued. She said, "You know, we always tell the truth, even when it's hard, but we always tell the truth. We say thank you, even for the little things. And we always assume the best of each other. And this one's very important. And we forgive quickly, because carrying hurt weighs down the good." Think about that. Let that sink in for a minute. And then Billy added, "You know, and sometimes," and I believe in the same, I totally believe, sometimes you just have to laugh, especially when life throws you the unexpected. Humor can save us more times than we know. Sometimes you just have to laugh, because sometimes these little arguments, they're so silly. So they both agreed loyalty isn't about ever being tempted. It's about never entertaining the temptation. So they built trust, not through just honesty, but through consistency. Consistency, I just speak about that word all the time. Consistency is everything. So Billy and Maria, they held hands during the easy times, but they held on tighter during the storms. Now they're in their 60s. Billy still makes Maria coffee every morning. It's a ritual. Maria still leaves notes in his lunch. Not a sandwich, his lunchbox. They still dance in the kitchen on Friday nights, so I'm told. I don't plan to join them with it. You know, and when people ask how they've lasted 32 years of change, they answer with a smile, because we never stopped. We never stopped learning how to love each other a little bit better. So if you out there, if you're wondering what it takes to make a relationship thrive long term, remember, it is not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about showing up on the days you don't feel like it. It's about making a choice, even when the feeling may fade, because love isn't something that you just fall into. In fact, it's something that you will rise into. Again and again, with the same person on purpose. Every day. That's what Billy and Maria did. And that is what you can do too. Read together. Travel. Learn. Dream. Talk about your dreams together. Ask, what kind of people do we want to become? Where do we see each other in another 5 years? Don't just build a life. Build yourselves. Because becoming a better life partner, it is a lifelong process. It's a beautiful lifelong process. And when two people commit to evolving together, they don't outgrow the relationship. They grow into it. So tonight, this evening, promise me, take this into your heart. Being a better partner, it isn't about being flawless. It's about being faithful. Being faithful to the work, to the growth, to the love. Show up. You can show up when it's easy, but always show up when it's not. Speak with kindness, always. Love with pure intention. And grow with purpose. Because the most beautiful relationships, they aren't found. I'm telling you right now, they are built. So, as we end today's reflection, remember this. Every step you take inward brings you one step closer to deeper love in a more meaningful relationship. So, work on your peace, your healing, your ability to listen, to pause, to soften, and you will become the kind of partner that transforms relationships. Not through control, but through presence. Because better relationships don't begin with better people, they will begin with better awareness. So, yeah, keep doing the work. You're worth it. I promise you, you're worth it. And so is the love that you're building. Okay? I want to thank you so much for joining me today and listening. I am so grateful that you stopped in today. If this inspired you, please share it with someone that you love and care about. Or maybe leave a comment about what you're working on in your relationship. I'm always here to answer any questions you have. And remember this, you do already have what it takes to love well. You do. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this helped. And I'd just like to wish you peace and love, and I look forward to seeing you again. This is James signing off from Think, Dream, Do. Bye-bye.